these new names of the sub-DAOs, these categories of sub-DAOs that are, I believe they are named right now allocator and also facilitators, if I remember those well. But yeah, like that will be essentially the new branding elements that we have to come up with that should be also integrated into the same framework and that are easily recognizable from all perspectives. No matter what element you are taking, you will be aware that this single element is contained within the same ecosystem. Besides that, we have the sub-DAOs. Sub-DAOs will be essentially, in terms of the visual identity, the branding, the messaging that they will have, they will be independent and they will have to come up with their own decisions on how they want to be perceived, what's the experience that they want to give to users, and also that includes the branding, the logos, the messaging, color, everything. So we can be providers of those sub-DAOs in that regard, but it's important to note that they are separate, independent brands. And that's actually the essence of this endgame in that regard. Like, we want to give this sense of an ecosystem that's pretty big and that has many different ways to engage with, in the way that users can also be aware that they have many options to decide, and also they can go for a journey with the DAO that they feel is more appealing and that align with their own principles. And that's something that you can convey with branding, logos, messaging, colors. That will be the challenge of each sub-DAO, to be able to deliver that in accordance with the principles and also the motivations of the users that they want to bring. But yes, there are challenges there because, for example, we don't want the user. We don't want, for example, the brands of each sub-DAO to be all the same or all very similar to each other, because they would like to, as I say, they would like to focus on a specific section of the market that can bring specific values aligned with the values or the product of the sub-DAO. So, for example, there is a Sakura sub-DAO that right now is emerging as a pretty interesting community of people that want to build a very single product to use, but focus on this Japanese genuine community culture with localized, with content that's written and also communicated in their local language. So this is some very cool example of the differences we can have within all those brands and how they can just cover a small section that's really genuine and that, can really bring this very interesting and different community. So yeah, I will say that some of the challenges would be making it clear the differentiations between all these sub-DAOs, and also making it clear that the new brand by itself is what is the main framework that makes it possible to all those sub-DAOs to emerge, to be created. But it is not a sub-DAO by itself. It's only the ecosystem. So there are many nuances we have to be aware of. We have to consider. We are still in the process of discovering them, discovering also how the users engage with the sub-DAOs and their brands. But yes, there are many things to consider and many details to take care of.
There are many things that you have mentioned. So I want to go first, and also you mentioned Sakura of DAO, so I'm gonna have to ask you a question about it as well. Yes, so whenever Rune explains what he wants to be with this all this and phase that it's happening, that we're currently in this pregame. Well, he mentioned that of course Maker it's a complex, very difficult to kind of understand, and on his own words.
Yep.
So I think we can all agree on that. So the approach that he wants to have with all of these is that to be friendly, more user friendly, but complex at the same time. And he always compares this with video games. Um, so
Yeah.
gamification, I would say. So that's why
Yeah.
he explains of that with how it's like when you start playing a video game and it's you don't understand anything, but you're doing because you're having fun and you don't even know like actually what are you doing, but you're doing it because you like it. So he always
Yeah.
kind of have this idea. And something else that I would like to point on here, because you mentioned about the users. So according to Ruth, there are these two scenarios. Where it's one of them is like users that actually use DAI but don't even know what Maker is. And as like people from Latin America, I think we know what it is like because that in the hyperinflation inflation that we live in. And so there are many people that uses stable coins, and here of course DAI includes, without actually knowing about Maker, about even Web3 or crypto per se. So it's important to also kind of know the target that the Maker wants to have, because that it's one users, and the other kind of users is the one that try to understand Maker, but it's a complex, difficult, and feel like you're
Yeah.
not even well. So it's I really like what you have already mentioned, that you're working on this and you're taking all of these aspects into account.
Yeah.
Now going to the Sakura of DAO, yes, Rune is focusing a lot in the Asian market.
Yeah.
What is the reason behind it? And if you can give us more alphas about Sakura of DAO, please go ahead.
Yeah. Well, there are many things to go over here. Well, first, regarding the complexity and the type of users that we want to engage with this, we all agree that Maker is one of the more complex ecosystems out there, and that yes, there are different types of users and also audiences. First of all, there are the users that will be able, will have the time, will have the knowledge to engage with the products, but also jump into a new stage where they will be able to engage with the community, probably the governance, probably they will become a contributor, or and then there are the other users that will only want to use a product that meets their needs. Probably this product is earning a yield on unstable asset. It doesn't matter what the name of the asset is. It doesn't matter what the name of the yield is. It doesn't matter where the deal comes from. What they want is that steady, stable yield, being, uh, being streamed to their holdings, and that's it. They can be probably engaged with the brand with some colors that they like, and because everything has to be everything has to have a name, everything has to have a visual identity recognizable for everyone. That's for sure. But that doesn't mean that everything has to be super complex to be used. So that's the approach here. And in order, I believe that a very good idea to convert something that's somehow complex or somewhat complex, but to convert that into something that's something that everyone can use, is to make it as closer to what a game is, a video game is. It's put gamification into it so that it's like you can think of it as a, I don't know, the interpretations of the thing that I'm going to share here are my own interpretations, because what's written in the forum can be, there will be some very different interpretations between us. But I can think of it as a RPG game where you can choose what's the character and what's the type of character, probably the team you want to be part of. And then according to that team that you like, you feel identified with, you can start a journey that's different from each other players. So, but we are all in the same game. So there is I don't know, the blacksmith that wants to repair things from other players. So the blacksmith only needs to go for some specific tools and receive the swords, or I don't know, the tools from another player and repair them. That's the work of this. But there is another problem. There's the king that wants to be aware of everything, wants to be aware of all the complexity, because he's I don't know, he wants to be this politician that makes decisions, and in order to make those decisions, this guy has to be aware of all the complexity. So but they all participate in the same game. So that's why, for example, in the case of Sakura DAO, they are making enable a front end of the DAO that's super straightforward, super smooth, easy to use. You just click on it and you are earning your DAI, earning the DSR on top of your DAI. But there is also, for example, Spark protocol, which is a more complex protocol where you have to have the knowledge, some basic knowledge of how DeFi works in order to supply your collateral, borrow some DAI, balance your position, and that. But the thing is that all those types of users can live within the same ecosystem, which will be covered by the main new brand, and that everyone can choose the path that suits them best, according to their needs, their time, their capacity of learning new things, or their interest in learning those new things or not. So that's how the approach of complexity is being thought of. But I believe that that's something new that no one has, experienced and put out there before. And it will be a very interesting experiment to have for all users, because in endgame, and also with the new brand, and also including the sub-DAOs, something 100% sure is that we want to bring new users. But also at the same time, we want to keep engaged those users that are currently using Maker. And we want to also get those users that are using DeFi and have a general knowledge of what Maker is, not super detailed, but just a general knowledge, what Maker is or what that is, also to get them engaged. And we want to cover essentially everything, every type of users, and making this product or ecosystem something you can play with is a very interesting and I think good approach.
Well, thank you. That was actually a lot of information about, or more information that we could find from Sakura's DAO. I think that since it's the very latest thing that has come up, well, there is not enough information. Although, of course, Rune, for example, when he was in Korea's blockchain, he talked about this as well, and it's good to know what they are looking for when it comes to kind of like onboard or to approach to the Asian market. Um, I want to mention here to our ladies. I don't know if any of them has a question. Please put it on the chat. We have here we have Blue, we have Pingle Soldier. So to all of them, to Clocky, if you have any doubts or any ecosystem actor, please write it on the chat. You can also have the microphone. So there.
Yeah.
And now I have another question. Do we have a date for all of these rebranded? When it's going to happen? No yet.
There is no hard deadline. The new brand is a project that requires a lot of time, but we are trying to stick to the timeline that Rune shared on the forum in the 5 phases of Endgame post. And according to that timeline, the first product launch should be early 2024, or probably the new brand will be revealed close to that time.
Yeah, the first months from 2024. And of course, probably these upcoming months, we probably have a date. And you have already mentioned, but can you point out one more time what it's going to be what the community can expect from all of this?
From what? Like the branding by itself?
Yeah, in the short term.
Yeah, in the short term. Well, in the short term, there are some, like in terms of the new brand. In the short term, there is not much we can